all elite. Because I can't even call it wrestling anymore. Look at this clown. Look at this clown.
You were there, Tommy.
Dude, look. I called him a pencil neck. Look, his head and hair look like an eraser. He literally looks like a pencil. Hey, Tony, if your neck hurts that bad, why are you turning your head, you jackass? Oh my God.
I can cut a promo, baby. I can sit right there if you want a Dusty Rhodes promo. That's right, Daddy. I've wined and dined with kings and queens. I feasted on alley and pork and beans, Daddy, if you will. I can do an ultimate.
Ric Flair.
A little bit of flair. Look at that, man.
10 pounds of gold, baby.
Look at that belt, bro. Look at that robe, more importantly. Now that's a robe.
Yeah. Dave LaGreca, that is a robe.
Yes.
Not that crap that you have on. That
Fuck
is
Dave
a
LaGreca.
robe. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of YRW.
YRW, I like that. My southern twang.
YRW, W, WCW.
YRW. We just gotta get George W to record that.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Well, I am Rebel Brian. This is Yankee Tommy, and we are back with another episode of Yankee Rebel Wrestlecast. Hope everybody's doing well tonight. We've got a lot to discuss, so we're going to jump right into it. Tommy, we had a little bit of a misunderstanding on our views of SmackDown.
Yeah, just a little bit. Wasn't too thrilled with it overall. Mainly just how it started versus how it ended, because we agree on it. It started off great. That steel cage with Cody and Solo was a great match. But the way it ended, wasn't a fan of.
I think that it's going to end up being an interesting tag team because, one, Roman and Cody, they're not the greatest of friends. They've battled. Cody finished his story over Roman. And I will give you the credit, though. It was weird that Cody said, I'm done with the bloodline. And then he changes his mind at the end and is like, yeah, we're going to do this match against Fatu and Solo. So that part of it, but I actually enjoyed the show. I love the rebranding. I love the new logo. And I actually sat and watched the entire show. And to me, it wasn't that lackluster. So,
I mean, for starters, the new SmackDown theme song is ass. I'm sorry, it doesn't fit to me. It doesn't fit. I mean, you can still go like mainstream and with popularity, and not go swerve to completely one demographic per se, and just go for the pop hip hop style. And Megan Thee Stallion, really, like out of nowhere, why?
Yeah, I mean I think that what Triple H and the board of directors at TKO is trying to do is they're trying to bring a younger crowd into WWE. That's what it felt like to me.
I mean, just give me something like Linkin Park. Give them, classic ones. Even go old school. I don't even care. But it didn't sit well with me with that. And like you said, Roman and Cody, it doesn't make sense. It seems like they're trying to go back to the well of what they did for Cena and Rock, one time only, never again, kind of thing, which it's too close to home, really, when you had The Rock just do it, with Cena now have Roman do it, and how does Cody all of a sudden go from I'm done with the bloodline to 25 minutes later, oh my gosh, we're going to do this thing, Roman, let's do it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that. It didn't make much sense to me,
it,
but
because you give us that high of like, Cody's done, who's going to be Roman's partner? Jimmy Uso. But no, it's Cody Rhodes, and it just, it's like I'm excited to see Roman back in action, especially with Jacob Fatu in there. But I'm not. I don't want to see Roman and Cody team up. It's just let Cody go off, do his thing. Let Roman and the Bloodline do their thing together, and just leave them alone for a while.
yeah.
I think people are just getting overplayed with every week. Cody's getting beat down by the Bloodline, and it's Randy and Kevin saving him every single week. It's just getting old.
I felt the cage match was really good.
Oh
I
yeah,
felt like it was a great cage match. They executed that match very well. So kudos to whoever got that match off the ground. But you're right. It's Cody getting beat down by the Bloodline every single week, and now you've got KO and Randy tag teaming together, so they're done with the Bloodline, and so it's like Cody's by himself, and now he has to rely on Roman to help him out, which is not the greatest of ideas because Roman will eventually go back for that belt.
right. And you eventually want to build up to what we're all anticipating as War Games.
Yeah,
You got 2 months to build that up, and you haven't even reintroduced Jimmy or Jay into the fold, nor Hikuleo. He's been signed for how long now?
yeah.
So it's like, what are we waiting for? Like, I get you want to build it up, but I feel like this will take several weeks to get storyline and everyone back in the fold, and it feels like we're kind of dragging our feet in the mud.
Well, sometimes it's better to continue with the story than trying to put asses in seats. Sometimes,
But
sometimes
right now the story's not going anywhere for me.
it's
It's
not, and that's what I'm saying is like get the story going, get us the both bloodlines together, and let's forget about Cody. Let Cody find a new opponent, but Cody and Roman tagging together is going to put asses in seats because the normal wrestling fan is going to be like, "Oh my god, Cody and Roman are tag teaming together against the fake bloodline," and that's who they're adapted to. It's not like wrestling fans like you and I that's like this match is bullshit. You know,
Yeah.
we need something different than this. And
Right.
Cody giving in after 25 minutes, like you said. So it's like it goes back to the Megan the Stallion entrance music. Cody and Roman, it's like they're trying to win over new wrestling fans when we're still the ones that's leading the way for wrestling. People in
Right.
our
And
age bracket.
right, and you would think that the company would try to use the demographic and the loyal fans that have been here so long to try to reach out to some of those newer fans too and be like, hey, you got to catch this show out. Like, this is must see stuff.
Yeah.
And you're kind of making us sit there and be like, okay, we're going to sit there and tune in every week and watch. So you already got us, but like, give us some type of middle ground. Because,
Yeah.
like, I feel like, just to go off tangent a little bit, like, wrestling and like just rock music have been very synonymous with each other
Yes.
for years. And it's not like, and I'm not just going Linkin Park just for Linkin Park, but just as an example, like Linkin Park is mainstream. A lot of people, young, your age, my age, even younger than me, like Linkin Park. And so there's other ways you can go, sorry, getting mainstream and not having to go just completely to one side of the aisle on it because you're not doing your current fans any type of service.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, they have to realize too, the new wrestling fans are coming out of our generation's kids. So it's
Right.
like we're the ones that's growing up the next wrestling fan anyway. So, I know my kids love wrestling. Now they're in their mid 20s, but they grew up on wrestling. So you've still got to have a happy medium somewhere with your older wrestling crowd. And I understand you've got to change, but is that a little too much? Now I love the new logo. New logo's dope.
Oh yeah, it's fire. It's
Um,
fire.
the entrance is good. The music, I mean, it is what it is there. But I
Well,
mean, I would love like a, metal song or something of that nature, like you said.
yeah,
That's
like
something
something
that,
like Metallica or something,
yeah,
like
which
something
is
like that.
weird because
Right.
Triple H is such a metal fan.
Metalhead.
Yeah,
Right. You would think that would kind of spill over, but I just feel like the last 10 years, like every pay per view music is all lighthearted and happy and like a vibey song, but it's like these pay per views are supposed to be hard hitting. And if I'm hearing, I love the weekend, but if I'm hearing the weekend on a wrestling pay per view and it's not like, this hard hitting, almost like, battle song that I'm listening to, it doesn't get me any more hype for the match.
see, I'm different. I wouldn't listen to the weekend on a weekday.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a time and place for certain music. Like, the Megan Thee Stallion song might be a good song on its own. We'll say for
Yeah,
argument's sake, but there's a time and place for it. I don't think the theme for SmackDown is Bearded Dog. Bearded Dog says my story has been over for so long.
he's he's in the trenches, bro. He's in the trenches.
Oh, trust me, I had some time today where I was like that.
Shoot, I'm right there with you. Right there
But
with you.
it's just one of those things where it's like a couple years ago in the COVID era, you had ACDC
Yeah,
as a thing for SmackDown, and that song was back in the 80s and 90s. So, I mean, I don't know. It just it doesn't fit to me.
I'd take Nickelback at this point.
Oh, Burn It to the Ground was such a good theme for
Yes.
Raw, man. Oh, dude, Nickelback. I don't even give me some Limp Bizkit, something. Just
Yeah.
because I mean, what happened to the days of, in my opinion, the greatest video package ever produced was Stone Cold and Rock, My Way or the Highway by Limp Bizkit. It was just a
Yeah.
perfect. But you don't get packages like that anymore. You don't get those hard hitting, like adrenaline pumping packages at all. You just get these,
Yeah.
it's just like it doesn't do anything for me. And like
And
if you're trying
even
to get music to get people involved in wrestling, there's other avenues you could go about it.
and even Jelly Roll, I think, didn't even fit. And he's kind of that outlaw kind of style of music. But saw something funny that said Jelly Roll was the Whitney Houston for people that are forklift certified.
Well, it's like Jelly Roll has so many good songs, but you pick that one.
Yeah.
Just, it's like it's not always the who, it's the what.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll do something different with the Raw on Netflix intro. Maybe that'll be a little more
Let's
hard
hope.
hitting. I don't know, but good
It sure
God.
sure took us away from the Motorhead and Rage Against the Machine days.
Oh, spit out the bone. Oh, which hold on. All right, last thing on this topic, then I'll move on. You and I play Fortnite.
Yeah.
Fortnite just had a Metallica event. So you're
Yes.
telling me Metallica isn't any more over than a Megan Thee Stallion? Like, come on.
Oh yeah.
Come on. Like, come on, Triple H. That was a major letdown.
Yeah.
Major letdown.
Listen to us. Change the music.
Change it.
But again, overall, I was very pleased with SmackDown. I love the fact that they did a no commercial, which they did have a commercial, which was really odd because I'm like, it's commercial free, but we got a commercial, and it was a wonderful commercial. Um, and But the show kept my attention, and I know that you disagree with me on that, but it actually kept my attention. the The feel of the show was good, and LA Knights, just a good feeling show for me. And I think that everybody in the back is realizing that they don't necessarily have to bring it every week because they don't really have any competition other than TNA right now, and which we'll get into a little bit later. But
I
it had a
mean,
good feel to it.
like I was fine with it up until that whole thing when Roman was talking, doing his thing, and then Cody had to come out and for whatever reason whine and complain because Roman said it's his WWE and his whatever. It's like, bro, you have the belt. You don't need to be hemming and hawing like that over Roman saying it's his company, it's his show. Like, let him think that if that's what he thinks. But I don't know. To me, like it could have been executed a lot better. And for that being the main story of the show, for me, I give that a little more weight when I'm kind of grading essentially the show.
Yeah.
So I thought, all right, overall it wasn't bad, but the main story taking that weird turn like it did to me just kind of dropped it down for me.
Yeah, and maybe the reviewing on it is that it's bad blood. Cody's had such a rough get go with the bloodline, and maybe that's why they went that route for bad blood. But
All
I
I know is I
still,
swear to God, if I get like someone like Megan Trainor doing the song for Bad Blood, I'm going to scream. I'm going to scream.
that's fair. That's fair.
Because bad blood is bad blood. I want to see blood. Give me some good music to go with these because bad blood is a stacked card.
Oh
Every
yeah,
match is personal. So they're going to be bringing it. Oh, by the way, I like that Pennywise cup. It's pretty sick.
thank you.
But yeah, it's a loaded card, a lot of animosity, and I want to feel that in the music. I want to feel it in the aura in that arena.
Yeah. Well, with that, we're going to move over to TNA, and they just keep banging, bro. They keep banging, and I cannot stress this enough that they're still producing amazing shows. Like Victory Road's not even one of their major pay-per-views, and this card was stacked.
Yeah,
Absolutely stacked. Of course, the main event was your TNA World Heavyweight Champion Nick Nemeth against Moose. We had the Hardys in a tag team match. We had the System win the tag team titles back. We had Joe Hendry go over Josh Alexander. We had Jordan Grace go over NXT's Wendy Chu. So it was a great stack card. Speedball Mike Bailey retook the X Division title. Just these whoever is working in the back for TNA is producing some amazing shows. And just this match alone with Nick Nemeth versus Moose solidifies Nick Nemeth's reign so far because he has been nothing but a fighting champion throughout this entire few months that he's been champion. And he's beat everybody. I mean, he's beat Mustafa Ali, he's beat Josh Alexander, he's beat Moose. I mean, he has literally came out and is a fighting champion, and I'm really enjoying it.
yeah, and this is the only reference that I'm going to give to AEW tonight. Um, but this is what AEW could be doing. It's like TNA knows its place. They have a partnership, and they're just doing their thing. They're just churning out their matches, doing their thing, and not really paying attention to anybody else. So I mean, like TNA stock is only going to keep going up, up, up,
Well,
and it's
they're
not just
wrestling.
yeah, and it's not just because they're working with WWE, just alone, isolated of all of that, NXT partnership they're doing, they're just having great wrestling shows.
Yeah.
They're having great stories. And they're
Yeah.
not trying to take pot shots at anybody. They're in their element, and that's where they're best, and they're doing a great job.
Yeah. Hands down. And I mean, you've created Joe Hendry into this huge superstar. You get a revenge match from where Josh Alexander low blowed Joe Hendry, and you got that moniker out of the way. And now you've got, I think you're going to start seeing Joe Hendry go for the world title. I think that is the next step. I would say that when we get to Bound for Glory, that we're going to see Joe Hendry hopefully go for a belt.
Yeah, I mean, he's been rivaling with Ethan Page on NXT, so they're already kind of getting that story cooking. So eventually, I could definitely see that happening. And like I said last episode, I mean, Joe Hendry would be the perfect man to be the first ever person to hold a belt in WWE and an outside company. Like,
Yeah.
no one's ever been able to say they can have done that. So I think the sky's the limit for that. And if they do that, he's going to break wrestling wide open.
I mean, how awesome would it be is that you'd have Joe Hendry as TNA World Champion, and then you'd have Joe Hendry, Ethan Page too, with both of them as champion.
Yeah.
That would be killer.
And have a title for title to just break the internet.
Yeah.
I mean, like Ethan Page saying, "Oh yeah, well, I'm the champion here, and you ain't nothing. So I'm gonna take your crappy championship just so you don't have it."
Yeah.
And then Joe Hendry goes over, the world explodes, and everybody's a believer. It's
Yeah.
a story that can write itself and is gonna put asses in seats as well.
Yeah. Santino Marella and Shawn Michaels, listen, listen, this is what we need. This is what we need.
Oh, it's perfect.
But Victory Road was great. I mean, you actually saw Spitfire win the women's tag titles, and just an all around awesome card. They haven't had a bad pay per view in probably. I mean, I couldn't count the last time they had a bad pay per view. So I'm excited for where this wrestling company is going again. It's trying to get back to its old glory days. The only thing we need is a 6-sided ring.
Seriously, it's getting there. Once that 6-sided rings hits, it's over.
Yeah. So
it's over.
Well, let's discuss the other fly on the wall.
Do we have to?
It's like the down part of the show for me, and I don't want it to be that way. I just do not want it to be that way. But there is a fine line, and there's a line that needs to be drawn in the sand for gimmicks and for spots that don't need to be happening in a wrestling company. And I know you want to discuss the Swerve Strickland and Hangman Page match. It was just horrendous.
It wasn't even like a wrestling match. It seemed like a low budget horror film that someone tried to. I mean, it's just literally like you just went in the backyard with your buddies and tried to make this horror film. Like, I don't want to see, like, hardcore is one thing, but I don't need to see people getting stabbed in the cheek with, a syringe, and I don't need to see you doing any of that stuff. To me, it's like you're trying to catch the wow factor, but you're really just turning people off entirely. Like, what are you doing?
Tony Khan's got to stop stealing ideas because, one, the whole burning of the house.
Yeah, that's the whole Wyatt and Randy Orton story.
Randy Orton and Wyatt. The syringes, I don't understand that. I mean, what's that going to do for a younger wrestling crowd? There is no reason. Like, I thought about it, pros and cons. I'm like, but there is no reason you had to bring syringes out of a wrestling match. I just like, what is this? Like
I'm not watching Saw.
Yeah.
I'd expect that in Saw. But I'm not watching Saw. I'm watching All Elite Wrestling, or what I thought
Yeah,
was wrestling. Now we're just taking any, you know, weapon that's around us. I mean, hey, why don't I take this putty knife and just start hitting people with putty knives? Like, I don't know.
that would be more entertaining than a syringe.
Well, yeah, even the match with John Moxley and the pizza cutter and the Domino's commercial
Yeah,
came on. That was funny.
that was great.
That was actually funny. And okay, like a pizza cutter, okay, it's kind of like a blade, whatever. That I can fine. But a syringe through the cheek, come on.
And
You
everybody's
know
like, "What
how
was in the
many
syringe?"
I don't know, but like syringes and have a bad connotation with diseases and all this kind of stuff, and you're putting that on television for people to see, and now, you know, who knows if we'll see kids stabbing other kids with syringes? I don't know.
Yeah, it just wasn't a good look. Just was not a good look, and shame on you, AEW.
Yeah, fuck Tony Khan. Fuck him.
But the only highlight from AEW this week was that it was live from Lexington. That's about it. I passed up 2 sets of tickets.
Smart, smart, very very smart.
I cannot watch it right now. It is, and we've said it for weeks. Just cannot watch the product.
Well,
And
yeah, I
Shane
had a chance.
McMahon is even doing something, and I still can't watch it.
Well, yeah, and I had a chance to go in Buffalo in July or whatever, June or July. I didn't even look at the tickets because I'm like, it's not like back even a couple years ago after we were on the Jericho cruise.
Yeah,
And you got the Acclaimed on fire, Jericho's on fire. Um, Britt Baker, Adam Cole, Keith Lee, all them, and now you have a debilitated roster due to injury,
yeah.
and you have a declining viewership every single week, and bearded dog with a endless joke. AEW, never heard
Dude,
of her.
that's got to go on a T-shirt eventually.
That might be the next one.
Yeah,
AEW question mark? Never heard of
but
her.
it's getting very very hard to watch,
It's
and
cringy.
I mean, and let's talk about another thing is the um, Moxley putting the plastic bag over Danielson's head.
That was the other one.
I'm
Like,
like,
it's one thing to choke somebody out, but you're putting a visible bag over the guy's head, literally suffocating him. Like, it's one thing if you're choking someone out, they could still kind of breathe through their nose or mouth. You're covering
yeah,
all that up. And that was also like, why? I mean, you could have choked him out with a wire, anything, knocked him unconscious, and I wouldn't have said a thing. But putting a bag over his head, come on.
dude, getting completely suffocated by a Kroger bag, and I'm like, what is that teaching our younger wrestling crowd? Okay, hey, let's have a backyard table and ladder match. Bring the plastic bags so we can smother each other to death. I'm like, it
I don't know.
doesn't make sense.
Maybe AEW is trying to play survival of the fittest. Only the smartest will survive. I don't
They're
know.
trying to murder talent, is what they're trying to do. They're like, we got to get viewership up, so we're going to start murdering our talent. Like, Jesus Christ, man. God. Oh, stop it, Bearded.
Don't bark up that tree
She looked
because you
fire on
got
SmackDown.
so good. Hall pass.
But yeah, AEW, they're murdering talent. They're trying their best, and we have to get Moxley involved because that's what we always do.
The whole show is just it's really hard to watch a full show anymore, and lately it's been I can't I
No,
can't, like, I'm just until they can really get things moving in a more positive and progressive way. It's honestly a waste of time.
Yeah. I used to be an AEW guy, man, but I can truly say I'm full WWE and TNA.
Yeah, yeah, because I never heard of her. I never heard of her.
Well, we're gonna go into the Raw preview for tonight, and we're gonna go over this, and we'll start off with a little CM Punk. He's going to speaking of murdering, um, blood doesn't sell unless it Ric
Ric Flair.
Flair. Yeah, that's a good point. Tony Khan thinks that blood will sell. Well, if that's the case, that they do it every week, so they must be on to something. But tonight on Raw, we will hear from CM Punk, basically ahead of the Hell in a Cell match against Drew McIntyre, which I'm so glad they're bringing back Hell in a Cell for Bad Blood.
Yeah, and it's not just like a gimmick pay per view, which is what we're talking about. That's one of the things we hope that he would kind of do away with is those gimmicky pay per view. It's like Money in the Bank, fine.
Yes,
I'll give you Money in the Bank, the Royal Rumble. Those are all staples. That fine.
TLC.
Yeah, I mean but Hell in a Cell is such a special match that it just it lost its aura of what it used to be because it was only pulled out in certain circumstances.
Yeah.
And this felt like a perfect way to use it, and you didn't have to book yourself into it
Well,
every single year.
let's go back to Charlotte versus Sasha Banks. I mean,
That
let's
was the
face
last
it,
time Sasha Banks was relevant to me.
had a good match. Yes, I will truly state that.
And then was
But
hurt the next night.
tonight at 8, we will hear from CM Punk ahead of the Bad Blood match inside the Hell in a Cell. This is an interesting match next that a lot of people be like, this match is going to suck, but I'm actually kind of excited about it. I love tag team title matches, and now that Kofi and Xavier are back, I think this is going to be a good match.
Yeah, can we talk about the elephant in the room briefly?
McDonough's head.
That's in a whole nother area code. No, no, I'm talking about the Big O, Odyssey Jones.
Yes.
The, nothing to my knowledge has been reported officially about it. I've heard a lot of rumors of domestic violence or being with an underage girl. I don't know what's true, and everything obviously is alleged at this point, but the company hasn't come out and said anything. None of him or his team have said anything, so it was just kind of an abrupt stop, which kind of left me scratching my head. But to turn it all back, I'm happy to see the New Day back in tag team action and not wasting away with AOP and Karrion Kross in the Final Testament. Like,
Yes.
actually vying for tag team titles because they are one of the all-time great tag teams.
Well, and one of the biggest title reigns.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, they broke Demolition's long-standing record, which was then beaten by the Usos.
Yeah.
And the Usos and the New Day are kind of like the Hardys and the Dudleys.
Banger after banger, man.
Yeah, they're two of the greatest ever, and they're really big rivals. So it's good to see them back in tag team action. It'll be interesting to see if anything spills over outside because you still got Damian Priest running ragged, Rhea running ragged. So I'm sure you might see something like that happen. But again, love tag team wrestling. I wish we had a deeper tag team division.
Yeah, I do too.
But it's still good to see the tag team titles out there and being defended.
And I know this is a match that Bearded is wanting to see part 2. Well, I guess you can call it part 2. And that is Braun Strowman, one big SOB against Bronson Reed. These guys, man, the whole spot with the car gosh, almighty sakes, dude. That was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
No, see, for me, the craziest thing I saw in my life was the tsunamis that Bronson Reed gave Seth Rollins that just had me on the floor belly laughing.
Yes.
That was just, and Michael Cole called it so well. It made me crack up. But Vince McMahon's at his home touching himself watching this match. I will tell you that. It's this is right up Vince's alley. Two big meaty men slapping each
Going at
other.
it.
It's seriously.
Slobber
It's
knocker going to
it's
take place on Raw tonight.
oh, it's a big old slobber knocker with one big son of a bitch.
Have you liked the fact that the last couple of weeks we've had all 3 shows on USA?
It's nice that I don't have to remember what station everything's on because sometimes I get confused and I go to Fox and USA. It's nice it's all on one.
Yeah.
And I'm not having to go to 3 different platforms to watch it. So it's nice it's consistent for now. At least what's on cable will still be on USA. So there'll be really Netflix in that, which I'm going to have to get my Netflix subscription back up because I stopped a while ago, so I'll have to get that back.
Did the USA Network drop the ball?
A little bit. I mean, USA has always been... I mean, I liked it when Raw was on Spike. When Raw was on Spike TV, that's when it was like peak. It was on Spike. But, I mean, Netflix is probably your next best option because Spike TV hasn't been Spike TV since Raw left, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And, Netflix with the expanded parameters of what you can do is only going to elevate the WWE even further. And then, once their contract with USA is up, then you're going to have, more of the same with SmackDown. So I think it'll be good in the long run.
Do you like the fact that the shows are going down to 2 hours?
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of time, I mean, back when they first did it, I thought it made sense because you had such a huge talent pool and you didn't have enough time to get started. Now I feel like you're trying too much time to fill.
Yeah.
Because especially with SmackDown, you don't have a whole lot of contenders for certain belts, and with Raw you have the perfect amount. So if you just limit it, you're putting on the more serious stuff and the storylines you really want to push. And you're not having to put these random filler matches in all the time that people don't care about.
I don't know if you saw the report, but I did see that that they're going to start doing less house shows.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, that they're been over 300, and they're going down to 275.
Oh wow!
So they're going to stay off the road a little bit. So
well, I think that's good because 300 is a bit excessive. It also gives the talent more time at home to be with their families and also recover.
Yeah.
So kudos to Papa H for cutting that down a little bit. Who knows? Maybe we'll see maybe a slight gradual decline, and maybe they'll knock it to 250 at some point.
Yeah.
So it's not as much wear and tear, and they'd be also probably saving a little bit of money too.
Yeah.
With all
but on the flip side of that, I saw that NXT is not going to be making a lot of shows at the Performance Center, and they're going to hit the road.
Which that might be why you're kind of cutting, the main roster off of shows. So it's like cost effective. You're not spending more money. You're spending just about what you would anyway. So it might just be like hey, we'll give our main roster talent some time to rest, be home with their families, do what they got to do. But if we want NXT to go on the road and get the NXT superstars more well-known around the country, cut them back, put them out, evens out a little bit, and it helps us out in the long run because that younger talent is getting more exposure.
Yeah,
so absolutely. When they're on the main roster, no one's like, who is Wendy Chu? Who is Jada Parker?
Yeah.
So I just think it's in the long run, it's going to be beneficial for everybody.
I agree with that. Our next match that we're previewing on Raw tonight is Sheamus versus Pete Dunne. I know Bearded Dog loves Pete Dunne. No, he doesn't. But this may be the conclusion of this rivalry. Of course, both of them were in the Brawling Brutes and once friends, now enemies.
Yeah,
So
I've said this before and I'll say it again. This rivalry would have made sense if things happened directly after, but there was to me there was too much of a pause in between for you to just bring it back randomly, you know. So I'll be glad once this is over because both of them can kind of move on to other things. Because I feel like it's just been lately a lot of the same talent just switching partners. Like I feel like Sheamus, Pete Dunne, Strowman, Bronson Reed have all fought each other like 500 times now,
yeah,
and it's like, I get you just had your tournament for the IC, the IC title, which Jey Uso won, so he'll face Braun Breaker.
yeah.
Um, but I feel like you got to have some other people in the wings that you're ready to unveil or display, because Pete Dunne, to me, hasn't been the Pete Dunne that we know really since he lost his championship, the United Kingdom title.
Yeah.
He hasn't been really in position to win anything. He hasn't won anything, honestly. So it's like he's just kind of like another great worker that's kind of going by the wayside
Yeah.
to a degree. So, I mean, I know there's only so many titles to go around, only so much you can do, but he's also still a young kid and he's a good worker.
Yeah. Yep. So we got this match tonight. Let's take a look at another match that is going to be taking place tonight on Raw, and this is going to be an interesting situation just because of the good detailed storyline, and that is Mr. Damian Priest looking at Dominic Mysterio, and I just really feel that Dominic's got to have a strap put on him. He's too good right now.
He's probably one of the more over people in the company and has been for the past couple of years. Once North American champion, but really since then hasn't held. I mean, he hasn't held anything on the main roster. Um, so you'd think at some point you might put something on him, but really until this Judgment Day story is really over, it's kind of hard to do that.
Would Judgment Day's tag team reign be better if it was Dominic Mysterio instead of McDonough?
Absolutely, because
Yeah,
McDonough's he's been essentially the Judgment Day's whipping boy.
yeah.
Anytime something needs to get done, they throw JD McDonough and he gets punted like a chihuahua around the ring. And he's a good wrestler. If you saw him before they changed his name to JD McDonough and he was in NXT, he was a really, really good wrestler and he was highly respected and he was, yes, yeah, Bearded Dog, I was getting to that. And he is the Chris Benoit from Wish. Um, I kind of think Pete Dunne has more of that style than JD McDonough, but that's neither here nor there. JD McDonough does nothing for me, nor does I think obviously to do Bearded Dog or
Yeah.
you. So I feel like if Dom had that belt, there'd be a little more with that match than there is now. But yeah,
Well, he's a better heel.
way better.
So I mean, the guy can barely do a promo without getting booed out of the arena.
I mean, he picks up the microphone and gets booed.
Yeah.
So
So
you
so what
got
about the Wyatt Six? Let's talk about that because they put on a banger of a match Monday night,
yeah.
and it was absolutely bonkers. and I am loving the Wyatt Six even more. I think that Dexter Loomis is going to be a star again.
Yeah, I thought in NXT he had such a great character, but I felt like they just didn't have the story really for him because he was that almost Michael Myers like serial killer
Yeah,
kind of character, and I kind of resonated with that because I obviously love horror,
yeah,
and occasionally we'll have Michael Myers staring sideways at the camera. But him being repackaged and still in that kind of genre, but
yeah.
under this umbrella of the Wyatt Six, I think it'll rejuvenate his career as it did really for everyone involved. Like if you look at it, they're all kind of like the misfits, the people that weren't really fitting or getting over where they were. Because
Yeah.
Nikki Cross was Nikki ASH. She was a superhero. Now she's back to her. Oh God, what was that initial group she was in?
She was with
I
Eric Young and
Yep,
Sanity.
Sanity.
Yeah,
She's back to that Sanity kind of vibe, and I loved her in Sanity. So the fact that they're bringing Joe Gacy in, who was good in that role in NXT as kind of a cult
yeah,
leader, bring Eric Rowan back, who was in the original Wyatt family, and have Bray's brother Bo Dallas being Uncle Howdy and start this faction. It's beautiful. It's
yeah.
beautiful.
They
It's
the crazy part is they stacked all those chairs and everything on top of Rowan and in the match, and he gets up and just comes in and starts wrecking shop. But it was there was a lot of good spots, and it actually, to me, besides the fact made the Wyatt Six even stronger, but it solidified the Creed brothers. They put on a banger of a match, and the guys can hang with anybody.
oh
So
yeah.
I was really really excited to see that even though American Made was defeated, it still solidified that group as wow, this group could be something dangerous for Raw.
Yeah, and that's what you want to have. If you're going to have two teams who are really good face off against each other, you want to have that good combination where if you lose, you still look good in defeat. Like you're not getting buried, you're rising as the other team is rising, but in a different way. Like it legitimized, like you said, the Creed brothers as a top contender for tag team gold because I don't think the Wyatt Six will be going for that just yet. But it just makes them have more credibility when they go up against like Judgment Day or tag teams like that who have gold or have had gold. Makes them look a lot more well rounded.
Yeah, and even though I'm still not sold on them coming through the curtain, I would much rather them come through the crowd.
Yeah, they
But
should
I
have never
mean,
done that.
but I know that they're doing it so that they can set the rocking chair and everything, kind of like Bray did when he used to come out. And I get that, but it would just be nice to see them come out. At least if one person's going to come out of the curtain, it's Bo Dallas, and then have everybody else come out through the crowd.
Yeah, I mean, like even if you wanted, I mean, if you, I would even say if you had just like one of the producers put the chair up because that's really who did it
Yeah,
before. Have one of the producers go like run that out there because he's coming out
yeah,
and just do like they did that one week they were attacking Chad Gable, have them come from every corner and they all meet in the middle.
yeah,
Uncle Howdy comes down the middle, Roman Gacy, um, Nikki Cross, and Dexter Loomis come from the other corners. Four corners right in the center, and they all meet in the middle and converge.
yeah,
Like that, I think would look awesome. Because that one night they had like the spotlights
yeah,
in like in the corners where they're coming, so it's like where they're coming from, and they just all converge. I thought would be a really cool look.
yeah, absolutely. And and then we also have Natalia that's going to be fighting tonight, which yay. But okay, we got to have one women's match, and that's the way that it's going to have to be. But I look for Raw to be good tonight. It's they definitely have had some good shows the last month or so, but just got to make sure that that they don't get lackluster on some of these matches that are. Eh, I mean, it's you don't want those some of those storylines to drag out, and because it feels like that somebody is playing GM mode on 2K on some of these storylines because it's lasting way too long.
Yeah, and like even in like GM mode, they have like a cap on like 4 or 5 weeks, and then we
Yeah,
kind of move, which is a little quick. But like you know, the Judgment Day one, it makes sense. You just don't want to overplay your hand, and I feel like they've done a good job of mixing it up each week. It kind of to what's happened, who's
yeah.
getting involved in what. But overall, I think once it goes down to 2 hours, which do we have a date for that? Because I don't remember seeing a date for that.
I have not seen the date yet. I mean,
Which maybe
I,
it's when Netflix. I don't know.
yeah,
But whenever that goes down to 2 hours, I think it'll be just a lot better overall because you won't feel like you have to stretch things out. You get right to the point and you go on to the next.
yeah,
Because I mean, in Raw's heyday, 2 hours was plenty. You were, from start to finish, you were jam
yeah.
packed with action. So,
All right. Well, let's get to the rant part of our show, and Tommy, I'll let you go first.
well, you know, my is not going to be a rant today. More so, kind of a reflection. Because yesterday was my son's first birthday.
Yes.
We had a good party with some family and friends yesterday, and it just got me thinking how fast a year can go, and it just in a blink of an eye, just like that. So really, my thing tonight is just live in the moment, enjoy everything, don't take anything for granted, because just like that, things can change. So just love life, live in the moment, and take some time to reflect every now and then, because it's already been a year and it doesn't even feel like it's been a year. So that's just my thing. Just live in the moment, love life, and just take some time.
Yeah.
Take
That's some great advice. Advice even I could take. But my rant is a little bit different. It's actually just kudos to WWE TNA, and because of the wrestling side of the business. It's they don't need things like AEW is using right now to get over. It's just purebred wrestling, and that's what we want. We want good stories and we want good wrestling. We don't need these gimmicks of plastic bags and syringes and houses burning down anymore. We need good wrestling and good storylines, good heels, good faces, and that's what both WWE and TNA are doing really well. Especially TNA, they're doing great with it because the system in TNA is bar none heel to its core, and every time they come out, people hate it, and I want to see more heels start bringing that Dominic Mysterio heat because we have to have bad guys in wrestling. We have to have bad guys. And with that, you've got to bring the heat or you're not going to get over as a heel. And WWE has done a good job with the bloodline. They've done a good job with Dominic, but I'd like to see a couple more people go heel that you're just going to be like, you friggin' suck every time that they come out of the curtain. And because we got enough faces, for God's sakes. I mean, every mark in America is like, oh my God, I love Cody. Oh my God, I love LA Knight and all this, but we need that heat. That's what to me, that's what the Indies does better than anybody in the country is they create that real heat, and it has to transition over into the main rosters. So I just want to see that happen, and once that starts happening, it's going to make me that much happier. But yeah, that's really my rant for tonight.
It's a good point, though.
Such a
It's a good point
yeah,
because you have guys like Drew McIntyre who get that heat, but in my opinion, he could do a little more in his promo work to really get that over. Because it's like on one hand, you have him beating Punk to a pulp, which is fine. Get your point across. But then when you're on the mic, you're kind of laughing, joking, and keying. And to me, you could be his character specifically. I want to see that Scottish psychopath again. Give me the
yeah,
psychopath. Just give me the guy who just wants to rip your head off and does a little less talking and a little more act, like a great Toby Keith song. A little less talk and a lot more action.
yeah, man.
Like that's what I want to see, and maybe a little more cerebralness in his promos versus his haha jokey nature. Because to me, it discredits him a little bit as a heel. But that's just me.
Yeah. Well, the bracelet thing messed with me too because I was like, how can you bring so much heat over a bracelet that's got your wife and your dog's name
Yeah,
on it and stuff? I mean,
yeah,
I get it with a Mark crowd because they're like, oh no, if that was my bracelet, I'd be whooping your ass and all this stuff.
yeah.
But for the real wrestling fan, we're like, really, we're gonna have this long storyline
Over a
over a damn
bracelet.
bracelet.
Yep, yep.
I'm like, come on, man.
It's not like he pulled like a DDP where like he kidnapped or stalking his AJ or took Larry from their house or like actually kidnapped one of them.
Yeah,
No, which I probably would mark out on.
yes.
But you literally are doing a bracelet, really? Yeah.
I mean, back in our day, people would break into people's houses, and especially the Stone Cold and Brian Pillman segment. And
My favorite was when Undertaker kidnapped. He's like, "Where to, Stephanie?"
yes,
Ah!
and then you had Orton breaking in, or was it Triple H breaking into Orton's house?
Yep. Yeah, he
I
broke
mean,
into
it's
Randy's house.
those are the things
Edge
that do
breaking
it.
into John Cena's house and beating up his dad.
Beating up his dad, and then we what was it? Oh my God, I can't even remember what it was, but those are the things that really excite me. Is that you go above and beyond on that. If he would have like stole the dog, man, I mean that would have been awesome.
Yeah,
And you do
and
some
like
promos with him petting the dog and all
that.
that stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and like just even for like a comedic factor, like when Stone Cold and Booker T were in the supermarket,
Yes,
like perfect, like stuff like that really can push things through. And like you said, if like McIntyre would have been outside Punk's house, and oh my gosh, Larry, escaped and he saved him and is petting him and doing all these vignettes, that would I feel like bring more heat than
yeah,
I got your bracelet. Hee hee
yeah,
hee.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
Well, that does it for another episode. We are. I'm excited for Raw tonight. We got that in 30 minutes, so make sure you're tuning in to Raw on the USA Network. And we are finishing up. We're going to be
I
talking a little bit more next week about the shows. So make sure that you're telling everybody. Make sure you're tuning in.
bearded dog. Nobody's stealing Braun Breaker's dogs. It's a fair point.
That's a very fair point.
But I will be split screening because my Philadelphia Eagles are playing Monday Night Football, so I'll be wrestling on one screen, football on the other. Every man's dream.
Yes.
So I'll be doing a little bit of multitasking, so it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
Well,
But
guys, we appreciate you tuning in. And for my counterpart, Yankee Tommy, I am Rebel Brian. And we just kicked you right upside the head with another episode of YRW. We will see you next week, everybody.
Love all wrestling.